Hi, my name is Lane McCall and welcome to TwoWheels Productions. Today I'm going to do something that I have never done before. I'm going to give you guys my first YouTube tutorial and I'm going to show you how to make this. So let's get started. Alright, welcome guys. Thank you for tuning into my channel to watch this video. I'm going to show you how to make this shark photo. Right here. I think this is a relatively difficult photo to edit, but for my first tutorial, I don't think this is outrageous to do. I think this is a relatively, easy photo in a sense, if you're used to Photoshop. Basically, what I did was literally I just found a photo on Google and I photoshopped this shark to the background. Added some text. This really is not that advanced of a photo, but I had so much positive feedback coming back from people like this, like, whoa, dude, that is so freaking funny. People were rolling whenever I showed them this. And I just thought I would share this with you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's open up Photoshop CC 2014, and this is amazing, by the way. So what I'm going to show you guys, I already have everything in a folder right here to make this tutorial a little bit shorter. I already have the raw photo right here, and this is the everything I used to get the right exposure and whatnot. So let's go ahead and just start off with the raw photo. Like I said, everything's already set to exactly how the original photo was, so all I have to do is get rid of these people. So let's go ahead and open image. Alright, and we are going to get started with deleting these people. And you're like, whoa, how do you do that? Some of you know this spot healing brush is literally just amazing. Bam, that kid's out of there. You almost can't even tell that he was there to begin with. So let's just zoom in a little bit here. There we go. I'm going to get rid of some other people here. Oh, that was kind of sloppy. And I honestly just kind of messed around with this for a few minutes until I got one I was happy with. See, I can work with that. Okay, now this is where it started getting a little bit tricky. Okay, so I had this. Honestly, guys, just play around with this. If you're following along with a computer, I would just play around with it like I just did. That's really the best way to go about it. Whoops, I don't even know why I did that. That's what I did in the original photo. If you look really closely, you'll be like, oh man, you should spend a little more time doing it. Right here, I literally just got a brush and I brushed through that, and I didn't even touch it up with the smudge tool, nothing. I just left it up like that. I was doing this on the way back home from our Gulf Shores trip, and I just didn't spend a ton of time on this photo. I just kind of wanted to get it done so I could show people. But you won't notice that unless you're blowing it up on the website or whatever. So anyways, I'm pretty content with this. If you guys are, then I am. Oh, whoops. All right. Okay. So now it's time to add in our vitals. So I found this photo on the website. You can literally just type in great white shark images on Google Images and you will find this photo. There's not very many. And that turned into that. And it was a debate to me to see if I wanted to leave the water droplets around the nose area, if I wanted to leave that or not. I decided to take it off. I thought it looked a little cleaner. So let's go ahead and drag it in. I had it somewhere around here, I believe. And is what I do is I go ahead and go to blending and I'll change it to screen. The reason is because I want to see where exactly I want to place the shark. And I'm just going to kind of use a reference from the photo that I've already edited. I'm just going to see, okay, see how the fin comes through here? That's kind of where it's parallel. It's almost parallel with the water. That wave right there, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, right about there. That looks pretty dang close. Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to just use the, go ahead and rasterize the layer. Okay. Now I'm going to just erase away. I'll keep the hardness at 100% because right now I'm just doing kind of a rough erase, if you will. Okay, I got that. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. Go 60%. Okay. Now is what I did was, you can do this with a couple different tools. You can use the Polygonal Lasso tool, and this is super easy, or you can just use the eraser tool again. Just make it small because we're fixing to go around the nose of the shark. I am going to use the Lasso tool. For some reason, I just kind of prefer this whenever I'm doing something kind of like this, whenever it's really close to the subject and you don't really want that kind of blurry edge look, if you will. This is a great tool to kind of get rid of that. And whenever I think of sharks, I think of sharp. I don't want to see, you know, a bunch of blurry edges, even though I didn't really see this shark. All right. So, something like that. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to blending options. Let's go ahead and change it back to normal. Now I'm going to use the eraser tool. We'll turn the hardness on 85. All right. I hope this edit is going just as good for you guys as it is for me, because I would love to see some of you guys' work. All right. So now that we have that done, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. Make it black. Instead of actually erasing the photo now, I am literally using the brush. I created what's called a vector mask, and I just clicked on it down here. And is what that does is, honestly, it's kind of hard for me to explain. But long story short, this is white right here. This is the background. This is the photo. And I'm coloring black on it. So the black is technically going to act like an eraser. So you're like, well, why don't I just erase the photo? You can do that. That's just fine. But you can't, in the eraser tool, you can't erase the history whenever, because this isn't your background. So that's why I use the brush tool, because if I screw up, oh crap, I messed up, just go back, go to the white one, oh, look there, just like that. That's why this is such a great tool. Photoshop really outdone themselves. Okay, this is looking pretty good. See, like right there, I kind of messed up around the edge. Let's go ahead and go back to the white brush here. Alright, just like that. See, that looks pretty good. Guys, you can take as much time into this as you want. I mean, I really do believe that, you know, the more time you spend into the photos, the more people's probably going to look at them. I like the white one. I'm going to leave a little bit of water right there. Okay, now I also erased the top of his fin. I didn't, for some reason, it just looked kind of odd. You guys can try it both ways, and, you know, let me know what you think. For some reason, I just thought this looked a little better without having all the water droplets and stuff coming off the top of him. Yeah, maybe it would be a little more realistic if he did have a few. I mean, you're not going to be totally clean coming out of the water, but to me, it just looked more like a spaceship basically coming out of the water. It just looked really sick, so I'm just going to stick with this original edit. Okay, now, so what we're going to do is get rid of some of this, and this is kind of how I edit. I mean, I don't want to make something that's totally weird, unexpected, or expected, I should say. I mean, you can't just have a random shark just busting out of the water that's right up here on the shore. So I pushed him out here a little ways to make it close to reasonable. But you see this wave right here? I'm also kind of using this wave as like his diving point, like where he comes out of the water and stuff. Just like that. Just like that. Let's go back here and touch it up. You guys see what I'm saying? You see that wave is, he's kind of like busting out behind that. Whoops. And to me, I think that adds a little bit of realism to the photo. Okay. All right, almost done with the shark part. Now, back to the eraser tool. And this time we're going to use the background eraser tool. Whoops. There we go. Make sure you select this photo, not the vector mask, but the actual shark photo whenever you're erasing. And now it's time to erase away. You're not actually going to be erasing the water droplets. This is the background eraser tool, meaning it's going to leave a little bit of droplets out there for you. And this took a little while because it's not perfect. I mean, you have to do quite a bit of playing around with this, and that's really what Photoshop is, right? I mean, you just kind of play around with it until you're satisfied. So just try to make something that you really feel like could happen. See, that does not look good to me at all. It looks better. Okay. Now, like I said, spend more time on it. It will look better. But it's starting to sort of kind of come together. Ah, shark. Now is what we need to do is we need to match the color of this to this. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. Is what I'm going to do is I'm actually going, I believe I already have the PSD file of the shark that I did. Yep, that's it right there. That's what I did. And that color matched up pretty dang close. And it's what I normally do is I'll just disable the background and I'll save this. I'll name it Shark 2. Don't show again. I don't want to see that message. Okay, so let's go ahead and just exit out of this. We'll go back into our recent photos. Okay, is what I normally do is I'll go to File, Open, and here's the shark that we just did inside the tutorial. See, I cut off the fin. And is what you'll do is you'll go to Format, and this is the format you're going to open in. Open it in Camera Raw. I absolutely love Camera Raw because all these adjustments are right at your fingertips, and it's just so much easier to go through. So let's try to match the color that we had out there. I'll just size you down a little bit. Alright, so that's pretty close. Exposure, it's kind of a hit and miss. I went down a couple notches because I wanted to see the shadows under his chin. Okay, add a little bit of contrast for the water droplets. Bring the shadows down a bit. I brought the whites down a bit. blacks down a bit. Clarity, I bumped it up just a tad. And that was it. See, that's a pretty close photo. So anyways, we're just gonna start from here. Okay. You see how I positioned it behind the wave, just like we were talking about. Now the next thing that I wanted to do was this. Something still looks a little bit off right here. The shark looks a little too flat, and what I mean by that is here's Hunter's shoulder, here's the shark. It looks like it's literally right there behind him. So I wanted to add a little bit of blur. And you're like, well, let's just go with the filter and, let's blur that thing. You can do that, but we also need to blur the background. So literally, what I did again was I added a vector mask. See? You can just barely tell that I actually added a little bit of blur there. But what I did was I added a vector mask, and this is what I did. Was I, erased everything. You remember with the brush tool, and I erased the shore and Michael and Hunter that were going to be standing close enough that I wanted them inside of focus, and everything outside of that was basically getting blurred. So from right here on was pretty much just the same blur. And with the blur that happens just naturally inside the camera, it actually looked pretty natural. And like I said, you can just barely tell the difference. And for the shark, I then blurred that. Went up here to filter, I went to blur, and I went to lens blur. And you want to do just a small bit. I mean, a very small bit. So there's what 0 looks like. Let's give it 13. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good, guys. Okay. So now that that's blurred, everything's starting to match up, starting to look pretty good now. Something still looks a little off, and if you can point it out to me, it's the water droplets. Look at the water. I mean, that is not the same, yellowy tinge color that's coming up here washing onto the shore. So to do that and fix that was pretty simple. So I just created a new layer. I went to my brush, and the color I chose was the color of the sand or water, one of the two. And I just went right here. I turned the hardness to 15%, and I just went beep, beep, just like that. And I tried not to completely cover the shark or Hunter, because that's not what we're wanting to do. I want to cover the water, not so much Hunter or the shark. So just like that, like so, and then drop the opacity down. And I think I even messed around with it, and I think I made an overlay. Yep. See, there's 0. I think right there, about 40 looks good. And that's what I did. Okay, there you go. Now I just added some simple text, and there's only one last thing we can really do. And that is to flatten the image. So now that the image is flat, you grab your smudge tool. Whoops, wrong one. Right here. And what in the world are we fixing to do? And this is the very last step I did. I flattened the image just like this, and I smudged the water up to make it look like he was actually busting out, wasn't behind the wave, like this is the actual wave that he caused. I try to blend it all in as clean as possible. And guys, there is my very first YouTube tutorial. It just happened to be a shark tutorial. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, you know, I continue to do these. I want your feedback. This is obviously not going to be the very best tutorial you have ever heard, but I really appreciate you guys tuning into my channel. Please give me some feedback on what I could do better or what you'd like to see. You know, I have a lot of tricks up my sleeves, and I would be more than happy to show you guys. Just comment on the video below and just, you know, let me know what you'd like to see maybe for the next tutorial, and I'll see what I can do. Hey, thanks for tuning in. For Two Wheels Productions, I'm Lane McCall.